Hey folks, in today's video we're going to run through a bunch of different 3-stop ND filters ranging in price from under $10 to over $180 to see if you really get what you're paying for in terms of image quality and color cast.
We got salsa, we got jazz, we got hip hop, hippity hop hop. We got some
the hip to the hip, the hip,
you know, just good music today, just great music.
Can you swim? Howdy folks, hopefully you recently saw my 10-stop ND filter video where I compared a whole bunch of different ones to see the sharpness and color cast we were getting using them for long exposures. Today I brought Johanna and a super fast portrait lens, the Leica 75mm f1.25 Noctilux, to test out with some 3-stop NDs. Now 3-stop's kind of an in-between, but if you're doing daylight portraits, they can be really handy. If you're shooting at f1.2, 1.4 on a bright sunny day, you'll often hit your maximum mechanical shutter limit of a 4,000 or an 8,000th. We won't today, however, because it's so overcast, but it does mean we have nice uniform color to compare these. So we have like a dozen or 11, I think, different 67mm 3-stop filters that we're going to test out. Okay, so obviously the M10 is a manual focus camera. This is a manual focus lens. So because I'm going to be shooting this wide open, I'm going to sometimes use the VisoFlex that gives me an EVF that I can get 100% magnification or more to make sure that I'm getting her eyes in focus. Now, a couple of things we're going to be testing here apart from the sharpness and any color cast. How big is the filter? Because if you are shooting these for bright sunny day portraits, you're most likely going to want to be able to use your hood as well to block any stray light. So we want to see, will this still allow, yes it does, my hood to come out. So I'll note that as we go through in the review, which ones did and which ones were too fat to be able to use a hood. I got to make sure I have this locked on cloudy white balance, not on auto. Okay, so let's get a couple stopped right down so that we see the whole background. Now, someone asked me before about why would you want coatings on a filter? The lens is already coated throughout. Aren't they going to be working against each other? It's not that simple because the lens is designed with all of its elements with coatings, given the way that the light bends through the lens, so that given the light that comes in the front, it's optimal when it exits the back of the lens and hits your imaging plane. But once you put a filter on, you're changing that. So what the filter's coatings should be doing is correcting the type of glass and the shape of it, so that the light that enters the front of the filter comes out as neutral, but just cut down the light amount. So then when that exits the back of the filter into the lens, it's optimal, and then the lens coatings do their job as they normally would. So it's not counterintuitive that these are coated as well. Hope that makes sense.
Oh wow, the packaging is just stellar.
But there's nothing in there.
There's nothing in there. But then you keep going in the box. Wow. Soft like a baby's bottom.
Ugh.
Wow.
And check this guy out, the BW, the 3-stop 67mm, but it's in a 77mm housing. The filter just bounces around in there. They've used the wrong case for this size of filter. Okay, let's try your fancy Quartz Polar Pro. Oh, and that one doesn't quite extend, so it's a little bit chubbier than the others. So for this lens, you couldn't use the hood. Wah, wah. So this is the Tiffin. Again, it's quite fat in that direction. Build is fine. I'd be surprised if it is made in USA, but if so, on you Tiffin. Keep it local.
Solas.
Next up, the Hoya Solis. Now this one is quite fat again, and the hood fits fine. This is the one everyone's talking about, Breakthrough Filters. Build is nice, packaging is the same, it fits fine. Next up we'll do the BW, the wrong size case, nice build quality, and the hood fits. Next up is a busted ass one I got from Amazon for very cheap. It's called a Green L. Okay, build is cheap. Feels really tinny, but it is very slimline. The hood fits easily, so it's already got a leg up over the Polar Pro.
Wow, I could see myself.
Okay, you can see yourself in there? Okay, so that's actually an interesting point. So often, yeah, it's super reflective. So often when you see a lens or something like that being advertised, you see all the cool reflections in it, or you see whatever in it, you see all the elements going through it. Anything that you see reflected is light that's bouncing back that hasn't passed through. Reflections are a bad thing. The best possible lens, when you look at it, you won't see any glass because the light has just passed through all of the elements and hit the sensor. So the best one, you'll just see straight through it. So the fact that we're just seeing a reflection on ourselves on this one actually doesn't bode too well. Oh, here's another one where the Vivitar, also, they just use a bigger filter casing than the actual filter. Come on guys, how hard is it to get a different insert? It fits fine. It feels a little bit better quality than the green, but not great. And to me, even just looking through it, I see a magenta cast through the eyepiece. Next up is the Yashica. So Yashica, made in Japan. It's pretty thick in terms of depth, but width-wise, the hood fits. Wow, this is shit. Which was this Yashica? Oh, you let me down, guys. Even through this, I can see it's hazy as a mofo and a really blue cast. Okay, so that Yashica was so far off, just to make sure the light color hasn't changed, that the clouds haven't changed in their density, which is affecting the color of the light. Let's get a couple with no filter again, just so we can have them as kind of a control point halfway through the shooting. So I know as a hardcore rangefinder shooter, the idea of using one of these is counterintuitive, and I do love the experience of using the proper rangefinder, but at 125, it's tricky. So to be able to go in with this is a big help for a static portrait. We're now using Hoya. What is this? Great, now I just need a doctor to interpret your notes. Okay folks, so back in studio now. We actually had a total of 9 filters that we tested out, not the 11 that I said. I'm going to run through all the images for you now, but I'm not going to tell you which is which to kick things off, so then you can appreciate the images and judge them without being influenced by hearing the brand name on them, okay? So first off, this is the full shot at f16, just showing you the full background. Here we are as we stop it down to 5.6. 2.8, and then this is right down at 1.25, showing us what this lens can really do. That's why you get a super fast lens in most cases, but on a really bright day, that could be too fast. So let's pop our filters on. Now, I had it set on a manual white balance setting, and this is our first option. Now for me, comparing it to the original, if anything, it looks a little browner, a little warmer. Yeah, definitely added brown to the cast. If we look back to the no filter shot just before, and then back to this one, definitely a brown cast coming in here, but it's fairly minor. Next up, to me, that actually probably looks a little bit more neutral. Yeah, overall, I think that's a really great performance from our option number 2. Whoa, okay, option number 3, and it looks like someone's put an Instagram filter on that's meant to just make everything look pastel-y and a little bit old-worldy. You can see that has gone quite wrong compared to this shot, which was our original with no filter on there. That one is our option number 3. Okay, option number 4. Oof, and now we're in Pinktown. So a huge magenta cast on that one. Surprising that on something that's just a 3-stop filter, you'd get such a color cast from it. As I said, these were all in manual white balance. Next up, you can probably guess this from my reaction outside, really, it's just so not sharp. It's really degraded the image, and a weird purpley something cast through that one. I don't even know what that is. I was so surprised by how bad that was. I actually made another test shot with no filter here just to make sure that the light hadn't changed too much, that kind of thing, and that my manual white balance setting was still okay. Next up is option number 6. Now that to me is not a bad result. Maybe I think we've lost some saturation, maybe a slight brown color shift, but not too bad. Next up, an obvious, I don't know what you would call that, a kind of a mustardy yellow kind of shift. It's like the color from her sweater has somehow bleached out to the background. It is what it is. And then number 8, that's actually a really good one. Let me just jump back to our no filter and then to that one. There is definitely a slight shift there, but I would say that's in the top 3. And here we go, no filter again. And then this is our final one, number 9. And that, again, is only a very slight shift. And I'm not sure what's going on there. On the right-hand corner, it seems, no, maybe it's added a slight vignette through it, which has taken off the emphasis on the bottom right corner. But in terms of color, it's quite neutral. And again, no filter, just to finish off as another yardstick. So, out of those 9, do you want to go back and have another quick look at them? Feel free to pause me, take a look at the neutral ones that I shared partway through as well. And let me know in the comments which you chose as your best option, or even 1 to 9 in terms of best to worst, before I reveal the results. Let's have a look at the results. So, number 1 was the Polar Pro. That is the most expensive of the group. That is $180. Number 2 is the B plus W. That is one of their mid-range filters. That's an $82 filter. Number 3 is one of the bargains of the group, although I don't think you can call that result bargain, but it was one of the cheaper ones. That is green branded filter that I got on Amazon for $8. Next up is a Vivitar, a brand you no doubt have heard of, and that one was $5 from Amazon. And again, another example of maybe you get kind of what you paid for. Although some of these ones at $180, it's hard to say how is that 18, 19 times better than these ones, but it's certainly significantly better. Number 5 is the Yashica. Now, that is really disappointing. They call it the best in Japan. I have to call BS on that. That is a $22 list price, but it was currently going for $9. The prices on these things, of course, fluctuate all the time. So I'll put links below so you can check the most current and best price for your region. Then number 6 was the Hoya HMC. This was one of their bargain range filters. It's $30. And I think in terms of bang for buck, it's probably punching right up there with the very best of this group. Number 7 is the Tiffin. This is a $78 filter, and when you're looking at the performance we're getting, say, from the previous one, which was a $30 filter, it's hard to justify that $78 price tag. Number 8 is another Hoya. That is the Hoya Solus, and again, I think that is a pretty good value. It's $94 though, so is it worth 3 times the HMC Hoya? I'm not sure. And lucky last is the Breakthrough. That is $150. And again, I think it probably is the best performer of the group, but is it worth $150 when the Hoya was doing so well at $30, or we had such a big range there? The black and white is, B plus W, sorry, is $82, so just over half the price of that one. So it's really going to come down to your budget and if one of those really stood out for you. As I said, a 3-stop is kind of a niche thing. A lot of people are going for just a circular polarizer, or they want a big one like a 10 or a 15 stop. If you haven't seen that, there's cards above to check out my 10-stop filter video. Thanks to Joe for coming in for the day. As always, it was really fun. Thanks to Leica for loaning me the 75mm lens so I could test this guy out. No thanks to Manhattan for not providing a bright sunny day that I could do that outdoor testing. C'est la vie. Let me know your questions, comments, and what you'd like to see next as a comment below, as well as which was your choice of the best filter from the series. And I'll see you soon. Bye.